Hello, I'm Alison Duana, a goddess asteroid astrologer and Gene Keys guide, and welcome to my podcast today. So we've had a really powerful weekend with the Uranus-Venus conjunction in Gene Key 2. Gene Key 2 in the I Ching hexagrams in the codon in our DNA is the pure yin. So this has been a kind of incredible freeing of the divine feminine energy, and been having some downloads around Hokmah and divine wisdom. So that's the kind of backdrop, and what's really calling me today is two trans-Neptunian objects which are opposing each other at the moment. And this is Salacia and Make Make across the Aries Libra axis. So I'm mostly going to talk about them and touching to a few other things that are happening. So I'm just going to share the chart just to show you first of all where they actually are. So we can see here there's a lot going on in Aries at the moment, in the 9th house in my chart here in the UK today. And so we've got Jupiter is now at 5 degrees Aries and is catching up to Mars there, or rather Mars has overtaken Jupiter, I should say. And yes, so what we have there between them is Salacia. She's at 8 degrees of Aries, and this is Gene Key 17, line 5. So 17, this is actually where my Chiron is, so I'm really familiar with this Gene Key, having been through my Chiron return about 4 times in the last few years. So the shadow is opinion. So if you think about when we're opinionated, we don't want to see anyone else's point of view. So we have a very narrow focus. Now the gift is far seeing. Now as soon as we it's almost like we lift our heads, we're prepared to look around and take in what is going on in the environment. And then the city is omniscience, which in moments I've experienced that as like the whole body, every cell in the body can perceive what's going on in the universe. It's like a real place of connection with the universe and with nature. So it's wonderful to see Salacia here in this position. And for me, she's a very special trans-Neptunian object. Maybe the one I feel actually the closest connection with. So I wonder if you will as well. So Salacia's story is she's a water nymph, and Neptune takes a fancy to her, and Neptune historically has not treated women very well. Okay, so we know he raped Medusa in the sanctity of the temple. That's maybe his like worst thing he did, and from that Medusa is blamed, and she is kind of sent into the underworld. Her hair turns to serpents, which are also the Kundalini yoga as well. But Medusa's carrying a lot of rage, you know, she's really been taken advantage of. And it always feels like to me that Salacia is the healing of Medusa in a way as well, because Salacia says no, you know, she got quite afraid and off she swam into the sea and she hid away. And so eventually Neptune sends a dolphin, and in that beautiful dolphin, you know, heightened awareness communication, it always feels the dolphin very significant in the transformation that happens between Salacia and Neptune, that they become husband and wife, and seemingly we don't know anything else, but we assume they were happy. Um, and So Salacia is very powerful because she's actually transforming the male energy from that kind of brute, raw sexual energy that is kind of uncontained and causing harm in the world. Salacia is the one who turns that around. And you know, her name comes from that word salacious, but I don't feel her as salacious at all. If anything, I feel her as the opposite, as quite kind of contained and boundaried. But it's interesting that's her name because it feels quite kind of paradoxical, really, that that's her name. So she has this incredible transformational power, and as I say, in this position here, where she's going to be for some time, you know, these bodies have around about the same orbit as Pluto, in the sort of 290-year mark. Okay, so across now we get Maki Maki, who's at 6 degrees Libra today, 50 minutes. And they are going to come into an exact conjunction. I'm not exactly sure when that is, but they're already in this position where they are polarizing with each other. And Maki Maki's at 18, Jinki 18, line 4, which is all to do with integrity and perfection. So Maki Maki is the Easter Island god, and there's a lot of new kind of evidence coming out about what happened on Easter Island, because it's been said that, you know, the Easter Island indigenous people, they didn't know what they were doing, they cut all their trees down, and essentially the civilization died out because they didn't look after the environment. And the environment did die out, you know, so it did happen, but the evidence is now showing that it wasn't the indigenous people who did that, the original people who actually set out on canoes to find Easter Island. It was a vision quest, and they covered, you know, enormous distances, like right in the middle of the ocean. And it's the belly button of the world, so it feels very significant, vision quest for that time. But then, you know, other people come to Easter Island, and traders. I think something like smallpox came along, and that caused a lot of devastation. But it was actually the interaction of the trading with Europeans that was the death of Easter Island. And as we know, all that's kind of left behind are those huge statues. So there's a big lesson here about, you know, what this indicates for me is that the European traders had a very left brain way of operating. You know, get out there on the ships, get as much stuff as you can, colonize as many people as you can, you know, let's get rich as quickly as possible. Whereas the right-brained way, that is the natural indigenous and more yin way, is very holistic, and it's about, you know, perceiving the balance of the ecosystem, taking what you need but also giving back. So there's this reciprocity involved, which the left brain doesn't really see the need for reciprocity. It kind of quite greedy, it just wants to take. Whereas the right brain, and this is still the case for us human beings, you know, we can kind of weigh up yes, we need to take that, but we can give this back so that everything stays in harmony and equilibrium. So Maki Maki is in Libra as well, and it's about integrity of living that's coming forth as the gift here. You know, when we have integrity in living, we do only take what we need, because we don't take from other people or from nature in a way that is heavy or greedy. You know, we take really, that, as I say, what we need for ourselves. So this is going to be in play for some time to come. So I just want to mention one other TNO that I really loved, called Teheron-haiwaku, and he's a agricultural god in the Native American tradition. I think from the sort of California area of America. So he's connected with growing of food and the land, and especially the sunflower, actually. So look out for sunflowers appearing, and give Teheron-haiwaku a thought. So this is about mindfulness in the way that we're planting agriculture. And we can see that today Teheron is actually exactly conjunct Astraea, who's a goddess of the new golden age. And they are both in gene key 22, in the line 2 there, I think. So yes, so they are part of this divine feminine transmission that's here on our planet, and is really asking us to look at how we're living in nature, our relationship to the plant kingdoms, and especially the food kingdoms. You know, are they in integrity, our relationship? And it feels like this is actually quite an urgent call, you know, around our food, because as we kind of go into ever deepening crisis on the earth and the old structures are crumbling, this is the thing for survival. We need to think about where we're going to get our food from. So think local, think about growing your own. Yeah, so thank you, and thank you to the plant kingdoms who are calling today. I do offer one-to-one readings, and I also work on a platform called Soul Tribe, where you can dive even deeper with me into the Venus cycle, the goddess asteroids, and the TNOs. So please get in touch on astroalison@gmail.com for more information on that. Bye.